welcome to another exciting episode of Debating Metal. I'm your host, Kenneth Dean, along with my co-host, Chris Kaye. This week, in honor of Lemmy, whose birthday was on Christmas Eve just a few weeks ago, we're doing Motorhead's Greatest Hits, Volume 1.
With over 20 studio albums, over 15 live albums, and countless compilations and box sets, Motorhead has quite the catalog of music. But for today's episode, we're sticking with everything up to 1992. As before, we'll choose our favorite 15 songs. Whichever songs are duplicated make the list. Those that are not, Kenneth and I will debate to see which ones make the ultimate Motorhead Greatest Hits, Volume 1.
Last week, we gave you Metallica, worst to first, debating metal style. To hear what we had to say, download the episode from your favorite podcast platform, and while you're there, click the subscribe button, and you'll get our latest episode every time it comes out. So let's get right to it. Motorhead's Greatest Hits.
All right, so one thing I want to explain before we get started. So normally we take an artist's whole catalog and we go through and pick 15 of our favorite songs and narrow it down to our greatest hits. And I found that while I was doing this, I found it was a little bit difficult to do so in one regard. A lot of people know those first few albums of Motorhead and don't know a lot of the stuff that came later. There is a lot of good stuff that Motorhead has put out. I would say, for the majority, sometimes it's a quantity over quality thing. Every album has a few good songs. But what I think has happened is that people know Ace of Spades. People know pretty much a lot of the stuff that Metallica covered. I think that's maybe how some fans got into Motorhead. But there's some really good stuff later in their career, and I think it would be ill-advised not to kind of break them apart for one reason. We here have both experienced that we've kind of opened our mind to new music with doing this podcast, and I hopefully the same thing has happened to you as listeners. You've heard some of the stuff we've talked about, maybe listened to it and found new bands that you liked through this. So I thought it would be kind of really like a better experience to talk about, these are the ones that are probably the songs that most people know as Motorhead fans, but I thought it would be cool to go over the later career too and kind of create a playlist, as we do with our greatest hits, so that you could hear some of these newer, like really good songs as well. So it's a little bit different format than we normally do with the greatest hits, but I think it's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be great too. I mean, obviously this episode is going to be predominantly the stuff that most people who are even cursory fans are going to recognize. And then when we do Volume 2, it's going to be something where people are going to say, hey, that's a really good song, but it's latter day Motorhead, if you want to put it like that.
Yep, exactly.
So that'd be cool. We'll be doing Volume 2 hopefully next week or the week after this, however it works. It may take a couple weeks depending on what topics we come up with, unless we just want to go straight to Volume 2. But we're here at Volume 1. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get started with my 15 songs for this week. And then we'll start debating right after your 15 songs.
Let's go.
All right. So in really no particular order, but it ends up being kind of like in chronological order. I might have thrown one out of whack. Maybe not. I don't know. Number 1, Overkill off the Overkill album. Number 2, Damaged Case off the Overkill album. Number 3, Dead Man Tell No Tales from Bomber. Number 4, Ace of Spades from Ace of Spades. Number 5, Love Me Like a Reptile from Ace of Spades. Number 6, We Are the Road Crew from Ace of Spades. And number 7, The Chase is Better Than the Catch, also from Ace of Spades. Number 8, Iron Fist from the Iron Fist album. Number 9, Built for Speed from Orgasmatron. Number 10, Orgasmatron, self-titled. Number 11, Eat the Rich from Rock and Roll. Number 12, Killed by Death from the No Remorse compilation album. It was one of 4 songs that were brand new. Number 13, No Voice in the Sky off of 1916. Number 14, Going to Brazil from 1916. And number 15, Ramones from 1916. There you go. That's my 15.
Oh, wow. I was a little worried we were going to have more crossover than we did. So we've definitely got some debating to do.
All right, that's good.
So my list, starting also pretty much in chronological order, Overkill and Damage Case off of Overkill, Stone Dead Forever and Bomber off of Bomber, Ace of Spades, Love Me Like a Reptile off of Ace of Spades, Iron Fist and Go to Hell off of Iron Fist, Shine and Another Perfect Day off of Another Perfect Day, Deaf Forever and Orgasmatron off of Orgasmatron, The One to Sing the Blues off of 1916, and Hellraiser and Jack the Ripper off of March or Die. Now, I am really glad you put Killed by Death on there because I totally forgot it was on No Remorse. So I'm really, really glad it's on there, and we'll talk about that when we start making this list.
Okay, well, that's a little different than my list for sure. I some of those songs as I was listening to today, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know, and I had a longer list, and I had to cut it down. And there's a couple of songs that were on there that was on your list that I took off because I looked at what I felt the other songs around it were, and I felt they were better. So that's why I chose what I chose. You and I are going to fight it out to the death.
All right.
So our crossover songs were Overkill and Damage Case.
Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades.
Love Me Like a Reptile.
Love Me Like a Reptile.
Iron Fist.
And
Orgasmatron. And that's it.
What? All right, so I'll explain something real quick here. I didn't put Hellraiser because technically that's a cover, but Lemmy wrote it. So I see where you put it. So that's the reason why I did not include it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's questionable in that regard, but like he wrote it, so
right.
Yeah.
So we got 15 songs here, and only 6 overlap. So there's gonna be a lot of punches thrown tonight.
Yes, sir. It's gonna be a rough day tomorrow.
Now I had like on my original list, I had Bomber on there. I had Stone Dead Forever on there, just like you. But I sat there and I felt like Dead Men Tell No Tales was stronger. But anyway, let's get on with this. So the way it works, folks, if you haven't heard before, we each will now choose a song that we want to keep. Then in round 2, we will choose a song that we are willing to let go. Round 3, we will each choose a song that we want to keep from the other's list. And then round 4, we will choose a song that we will remove from the other person's list. And then we'll repeat as necessary until we get all the songs done. When we get to the end, we usually have about 4 songs for one spot. And then that's when we are knocking stuff out left and right. All right, so since I went first, why don't you go ahead and pick a song you want to keep first?
Okay. So I would like to keep Shine off of Another Perfect Day. I think it's a very underrated album. It has a little bit different sound than some of the other albums surrounding it because there's a different guitarist on that album than I think that was the only one that Robo did. So, it's a lot of fans kind of overlook Another Perfect Day because their mind is set into this specific sound that Motorhead had in their early years. And I get that, but I think when you open your mind a little bit and listen to it again, it's actually a very good album, a little bit more melodic than the other stuff. So I actually really enjoy it. I think it's a really underrated album, and Shine to me is the best song off of that album.
You know, I was reading some of the quotes online about this album and some of the other albums. And it's funny because this was a period of time that, obviously they were going through some flux. They had basically fired / let Fast Eddie Clarke go or walk away, however you want to look at it. And the way that Lemmy puts it is that, he quit every 2 months. This time we just didn't call him back.
Yeah, so Iron Fist was, they were working with a producer, then they decided that they were going to produce it themselves. Eddie was doing most of that. It was a bad project. Nobody was happy. The morale was just in the toilet. Eddie Clarke, says that he thinks it just wasn't that good. Lemmy was he was not happy. So they were following up an album that was very troubled in production, and the band was in rough shape. So they bring in Brian Robertson, and they put this album together. That the mindset's a bit different. They're trying to kind of figure out where they're going next, and that's not always a recipe for success. But I think in retrospect, when you go back and listen to this, it actually is a very good album. They have a little bit different perspective, and sometimes that's a really good thing. It does have a feel more like, say, Rainbow or Thin Lizzy, where Brian Robertson came from. So, take it as you will, but I think it's a great song.
Okay. Hey, it's on the list for a reason, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I get to pick one, and that I'm going to keep, and I'm looking at this list. I'm going to keep one that's real simple to keep and easy to keep. And you mentioned it at the beginning. I'm going to keep "Killed by Death" because I don't want it to get into a battle and get lost later on. This one of their better songs came off of "No Remorse," which was basically a compilation album, and they actually put 4 brand new songs on it. So they literally put one new song on the end of each side, and it was a double LP when it came out. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I like "Killed by Death."
I do too. I completely forgot it was on that compilation. For some reason in my head it was, later on, so I just forgot to put it on my list, honestly. So I'm glad you had it, and I'm totally good with having it on the list.
Excellent. So now you got to take one off.
All right. So being that you mentioned Hellraiser's technically a cover, I'm okay with taking it off. I don't think it stands up. I mean, it's a good song. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it stands up to some of my other favorites that I have on there. So I'm okay with taking it off. And yeah, there is that technicality that it's a cover, even though he wrote the song. But
right, yeah. It's just weird. I mean, it obviously it appeared. It was written by Ozzy, Lemmy, and Zakk Wylde, and so it appeared on a year earlier on No More Tears for Ozzy's album. Mm-hmm. So, and Lemmy also wrote, if I'm not mistaken, I Don't Want to Change the World. I think it was that one, or was it Mr. Tinker Train? One of the two. He also wrote with Ozzy. So he had a lot of presence, Lemmy, on that No More Tears album. That's pretty cool. He made a lot of money on that too.
I imagine, yeah.
All right, so this is where it gets a little tricky for me, having to pull one off, because I really like all these songs I picked. So I'm going to make it difficult on myself later on, or difficult for you, actually. So I'm going to actually take off Ramones off this one.
Okay.
It almost didn't make the list the first time. I thought I was going to probably do a different song, but then I said, I really
I think your other choices off of 1916 are better, to be honest. Ramones is cool, and it's a nice tribute to the band. I like that it's a very punk sounding song, which shows. I mean, Motorhead had a lot of punk sounding songs.
Yeah.
So and it's you almost kind of forget that in a way. But at the same time, I don't think it's as strong as, say, No Voices in the Sky.
No, definitely not as strong as that song. So,
Yep.
All right. So now you get to pick one off of my list that you want to keep.
So I'm going to pick the one I just mentioned, No Voices in the Sky, off of 1916. I had it on my list at one point, and I had to actually redo my list because I forgot it. And so I actually left it off. I kind of like it better than the one to sing the blues, to be honest. So I'm not sure what my mindset was when I picked that, but we're going to go with No Voices in the Sky.
Since you picked that song, No Voices in the Sky, which I really, 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 really enjoy, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of your list, and I'm picking Stone Dead Forever to keep.
It's a really good one. I had picked Dead Man Tell No Tales as well when I was going over my full list and then narrowing it down. That was the difficulty, was choosing which one of the two songs I really liked, one more than the other. So I did have that on my list as well. So it's just a hard one to choose.
Yeah, there's a lot of good songs early on, and then especially Ace of Spades bunched up a bunch on there.
Yeah.
And so, it becomes difficult what to take off, what to leave on, and stuff like that. But that's the joy and the fun of this whole exercise. All right, so now it's your turn to take one off my list.
I'm going to remove The Chase is Better Than the Catch from the list. So I like that song, but I think your other choice from Ace of Spades is better. We Are the Road Crew. We already have two other songs from Ace of Spades. I think there are a lot of good songs on here that I feel are all representative of the band in different times. So I don't think that one's as strong as some of the others from Ace of Spades. So,
all right, fair enough. That being said, it's my turn to take one off your list. And I'm going to take a song. I just listened to the song before. It was the second single off of Iron Fist. And I just didn't believe it was worthy of single. When I listened to it, I'm like, this is not really doing anything for me. I'm taking off Go to Hell.
All right. Fair enough. Iron Fist is one of their weakest albums.
And they admit it too.
And they do admit it. I like Go to Hell. I think it's one of those that maybe has a bit of a nostalgia factor for me. So I understand why maybe it's not a lot of people's favorites. So
there you go. All right. So now that we've basically gone back and forth, we go back to the beginning, and you get to pick a song that you want to keep from your list.
Okay. So for me, I've got to pick between two of them. Honestly, my two favorites that I've got on this list are Orgasmatron's "Deaf Forever" and "Bomber" from Bomber. But I may pick one other because it's a tough one. I mean, I like all these songs. That's why they're on my list, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think I'm going to go with Deaf Forever.
So you're going to
keep that on.
Keep that one.
Yep.
All right, so you're keeping Deaf Forever. So let's get a quick overview here. We got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 songs we've picked so far. I'm going to pick number 12. I really like two songs from latter day well, not latter day, but this time period, this latter time period of Motorhead. I like actually three of them: Built for Speed, Eat the Rich, and Going to Brazil. And I became attracted to Going to Brazil when I saw Motorhead in concert for the first time, and they played it. It was at one of those festivals that are put together by not the same people who put together the punk festivals. I can't remember the damn name. I don't know if it wasn't Monster, but it was somebody like that. They put together a festival, had Anthrax, Slayer, Motorhead. It was really cool. That was a really cool day to see some music. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pick Eat the Rich for this one.
All right. It's funny, it's one of my least favorites on your list.
Oh, really?
But it is what it is. You know.
I mean, everything that's left on here I really, really like, and it's going to be difficult to remove a song.
Oh, I know.
All right, so now you have to remove a song from your list.
I'm going to remove the one to sing the blues. I think it's a really good song, but I like No Voices in the Sky better. I like Bomber better. I actually like Another Perfect Day better, and Jack the Ripper, I'm still hoping makes the list, but we'll see.
Okay, so now I got to remove one. So now I have 4 songs to choose from to remove, and that's hard because I like all 4 of them. But looking at the 4 songs that are left, I would say the least favorite of the 4 is going to be Built for Speed from Orgasmatron. And so I'm going to have to remove that one.
All right. So we've each got 3 left.
So we have 3 left. And we have 3 spaces left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have 6 songs for 3 spots. And now we're crossing over into picking a song to keep from the others list.
All right. So from your list, let's see. I'm going to pick We Are the Road Crew. I think it's definitely the best song from that list. It has a lot of meaning to it, too. It's a really good song. I love that they wrote it for their road crew. So I got to pick it.
You got it. I like that one, too. Yeah, that was probably out of the 3 that were left from my list. That's the one I would probably go with first. Okay.
Yeah, that was one that I had when I was narrowing my list down. I kind of regretted leaving off, so I'm glad it's on the list.
Cool. All right, so now I have to pick a song off of yours to keep. This is where it gets tight. But for me, I am more of an older school Motorhead fan, so I'm going to keep Bomber.
Okay.
So that leaves us with 1 spot. We got 4 songs, but at this point we have to remove a song each from the others list.
All right. I gotta be honest. I think Dead Men Tell No Tales is a better song than Going to Brazil. I think Going to Brazil is pretty cool, but it just didn't resonate with me the same way. So I'm gonna go with Dead Men Tell No Tales.
No, what do you want to remove from my list?
I got you, but I'm gonna keep it as an option.
Okay,
sorry.
So we're killing.
So I'm removing. Yeah, we're killing
Going
off
to Brazil.
Going to Brazil.
All right, cool. All right. So out of the 2 songs you have left, I'm not a fan of either one. That being said, you have a little bit of a connection that you want for Jack the Ripper, so I'm going to drop Another Perfect Day.
Okay.
Question is, does Jack the Ripper beat out Dead Men Tell No Tales?
Let's be honest. Which one's a better song?
Dead Men.
Yeah. You know, as much as I like Jack the Ripper, and I would love for more people to hear it, at the same time, me talking about it on the podcast, hopefully you guys go out and listen to it. But I don't think it technically deserves to be on a greatest hits.
Okay. So, all right.
We'll go with Dead Men Tell No Tales off of Bomber.
Oh man, I didn't have to punch you so hard. Yeah, I mean, I was the songs you had at the end there. I was like, man, there's a lot of songs that, and I know that's the way you and I are. There's certain songs that attract you differently than it attracts me, and I was just kind of like, wow, there's a lot of songs here at the end that just don't mesh with me as well. But yeah, I do really like the 1916 album.
I mean, I listened to Motorhead at a different time period than you did, right? So the way that I would take in their music is different. So I kind of heard some of their later stuff earlier than some of their earlier stuff. So and part of it was that me being a kid and, only having so much money from, doing what a kid can do for money. So I would go to the record store and just buy what I could find. And a lot of times that wasn't the older stuff because it just wasn't there. So I kind of came in at a later time and went back in their catalog too. So that's also part of why I like some of their later stuff probably than a lot of, cursory fans would, because, I was just picking up whatever I could find, and really, that's all I had for a while, so I would just listen to it and really take everything in. And I think maybe if that was the case, say, you picked up March or Die and that was the only album you had for a little while, you might feel differently about some of those songs too. Because we all know listening to it just a couple times isn't always the way you feel about it. There's been songs that I've heard years later after initially hearing them and then being like, man, why didn't I give this more of a shot? So
and it also works the opposite direction too, because for instance, I am a bigger fan of AC/DC's Fly on the Wall than you are, only because I was there when it happened. Yeah. And, I heard those songs a lot, and, I saw the tour, and so it was in my face a lot. So it definitely rings different for me than it did for you. So, and look at Motorhead. For me, I was late to the game on Motorhead. I remember being in high school and my friends that I was hanging out with in class, they loved Motorhead. And I just could not get into them because the production value was so poor, And it was funny because as poor as their production value is, Ace of Spades, probably of all those albums, has probably got the best production value, and it's still relatively inadequate. And it got worse. Iron Fist is just terrible sounding. And then, it was just like, man, what's going on? And they
definitely got better over time, though.
Yes, and as the 90s rolled in, they definitely got better. But, of course, what everyone has to understand, too, is that this band was not made to be a big production style kind of band.
They're very punky. They're very, let's just play. Let's get up on stage and play.
Right, exactly. And we just let's get into the studio. Let's put whatever we can and and be done with it. And it's funny because they complained about how certain things sounded. Like this mix was terrible. We had great songs, but the mix was terrible. I'm like, what do you want? The sounds of it suck. I'm thinking to myself, this guy didn't have much to do with it. But it's funny because one of the comments I read was the album was better when it went to New York than it did when it came back from New York. So I was like, okay, that's weird.
Funny.
Yeah. So anyhow, so let's go over this list of 1 through 15. All right. So we have Overkill, Damage Case, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Stone Dead Forever, Bomber, Ace of Spades, Love Me Like a Reptile, Iron Fist, Shine, Orgasmatron, Eat the Rich, Deaf Forever, Killed by Death, and No Voices in the Sky. That's a pretty good list. I like that list.
Did you say We Are the Road Crew?
I did not.
Do you want me to read it? Because I have it in chronological order.
Oh, I was going across the two sides, and
okay.
Yours was a little spacing wise was a little different than your list, so
Gotcha.
I forgot to put. So We Are the Road Crew is also in there, so that's our 15 songs.
Gotcha.
But we're gonna now put them into what we think would be a really cool concert set list, and then that will be our ultimate Motorhead Greatest Hits, and this is Volume 1. So, let's see what. Let's go ahead. I think the last Greatest Hits that we did, I picked the first song to open the show. So why don't you go ahead and pick the first song to open this show?
All right. So we have a few options of opening tracks here, and it's a tough one. I think starting off things with Overkill would be kind of cool, because that leaves some other songs for, say, the encore later on, and it's a really cool opener. So why not start things off for one of their first albums too?
There we go. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of diversity in Motorhead songs.
Yeah, they're a lot like AC/DC in that they have a distinct style that they stick with, but there are some songs that do stand out a bit more.
Oh yeah.
Some of the stuff we didn't pick for our list too. There was one song of 1916 that it was funny. The first time I listened to it a long time ago, I was like, "What is this?" And it was actually the song 1916, where it's like Lemmy's kind of singing to orchestral music, and I kind of over time it grew on me. I like it.
Well, it's not unknown that towards the end of Lemmy's career, if you want to put it like that he was actually doing more ballads, and he had featured some ballads on the albums, like legit ballads.
Yeah.
Not big production ballads, but one where it was a slow song, and he was very reflective in some of the lyrics in some cases. They were semi kind of love songs-ish, if you want to say.
Yeah.
But so he definitely had a soft side to him. Lemmy was a unique character, man, let me tell you, because you would think with the gravelly voice and the style and looks that he had that it would always be a certain way, but there was that comedic side, the softer side to him that really shone through on a lot of songs and a lot of things that he did just in general, When
talking about his kids, especially,
Mm-hmm.
that was always something that, he came off very genuine, very honest about, his interactions with them and how they viewed him and things like that. So he was always a really cool cat.
Yep, for sure. All right, so I have to pull out a song here, and I'm looking at all these titles, and I'm like, what the hell could be number 2? Jesus, this is hard. I'm going to go with Love Me Like a Reptile.
You know what's funny is that's actually what I was looking at too.
That is definitely a song that, of all the songs, I was hoping that you liked that song as well, because it's such an odd title, such odd lyrics, but it's so Lemmy appropriate.
Yeah, it's a really cool riff too, and I like the harmonized vocals on it and everything. I really like that song, so absolutely on the list. All right, so you had picked, let's see, Eat the Rich. Maybe I'll hold on to that one for a little while longer. I think here, let's see, maybe We Are the Road Crew. No, let's hold on to that one a little bit longer. Let's go with Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Okay. Dead Men Tell No Tales.
It's you go with Overkill, which is really fast. Love Me Like a Reptile kind of keeps the same pace. Dead Men Tales Dead Men Tell No Tales takes things a little bit slower. So there's not a lot of variation in speed and stuff here, but there's a couple songs that would be. So there's no ballad that we're going to throw in or anything like that. So it's a little bit different concert structure than some other bands.
Right. So let's see here. We're at song 4. We're hitting the quarter mark of the quarter or third mark of the main set. How about we throw in Shine at this point?
I'm good with that. Yeah, it's a little bit slower. Something a little different. So I think it's a good place to put it. So following that, I think Orgasmatron would be kind of cool. Because you're really changing the pace then.
Orgasmatron. We were talking about that song the other day, and I find that song so... I like the song. I love the song. I like Sepultura's version of the song. It's just, by God, the simplest song that you can actually write. I mean, not necessarily the riff. The riff is a cool riff, but the fact that it's just played all the way throughout. Chorus, it just changes keys, or you change the note, goes a little higher, goes back down, go back into the same thing. It's a really cool song. Okay, I'm good with Orgasmatron.
You know what's funny? You know what an Orgasmatron is?
I was reading about it, and I know he didn't write the song about that.
No, he didn't. But it's like, okay, so there's these things that go on your head to like relieve stress, and it's like shaped kind of like little prongs downwards, and they like, you put it on the top of your head and they expand and kind of like rub the top of your head. It's like little metal, almost like a brush looking thing. Mm-hmm. So when you think of it in that context, it's kind of funny. Mm-hmm, yeah. but it's not about that. I'm sure everybody's seen one, and if they see it, like, look it up on Google. It's nothing like dirty or anything like that. It's like a stress relieving head scratcher.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is that, a lot of people think that that's what the song was about, but in reality, it wasn't. It was actually it was referring to the things he really couldn't stand. It was it was a song about hypocrisy, which is weird.
What's funny is a lot of the old, like, later stuff in the career became more about social topics and that kind of stuff too. Mm-hmm. So, they started in one direction, and he became, cleverly outspoken within his music.
Yes, for sure. And he was very clever with the way he wrote lyrics. All right, so we've slowed it down to Orgasmatron. I think we're going to crack the whip and speed it up a little bit. Why don't we throw Bomber at this point?
I'm good with that. And we're at the halfway point. All right, let's follow it up with Eat the Rich. It's kind of in the middle. I don't know of a better place to put that one.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay, so now we're hitting the middle. Well, we hit the middle at 7. Let's see. The middle of the main set.
Middle of the main set. Yep.
Come on, baby. Eat the rich. We can, let's see, what do you think here? I would say either Stone Dead Forever or Deaf Forever. What do you like?
Just something forever.
Yes, something forever.
I'm good with either one. We just did one off of both albums just recently, so that's not really an issue, though. I think probably pacing-wise, Stone Dead Forever is probably a better pick.
Okay, let's do that then.
All right,
so that's your turn.
So, I think Iron Fist might be a good one to put here.
Iron Fist. We're getting to that point where we have to start thinking about the encores.
I know what I think should go as number 12. So you're free to use your veto anytime you want, obviously, if you don't agree with my choice. But I kind of have an idea of what I think should be the main set closer.
The main set closer. Okay, so let's work this backwards in this particular case, because since all their songs are relatively similar, except obviously ones that are obviously slower, like Orgasmatron compared to Bomber. What were you looking at as number 12?
I'm thinking Killed by Death.
Okay, Killed by Death.
So, like I said, you're free to use your veto on Iron Fist or whatever you want. If you don't agree with the lineup that we have right now.
Let's see, Stoned. How about? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use my veto on this one. Let's about. I don't know if you're going to agree with it or not. What do you think about Damaged Case?
Yeah, Damaged Case works fine. I think that's a good choice.
We're now going to choose song number 10. We've already talked about you were looking at Killed by Death for song 12. I used my veto to move Iron Fist down.
Or you're just replacing it. So we still have Iron Fist available.
Right. We still have Iron Fist available. All right, so what do you want to put as song number 10?
How about we put No Voices in the Sky? Or actually, let's put Deaf Forever there at number 10.
I like Deaf Forever better.
Yeah.
All right, so I think in number 11, we could put Iron Fist.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. So you're wanting No Voices in the Sky in the encore.
Well, not that I'm wanting it per se, but I think in the way that things are going to lay itself out, it kind of fits in there.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go with my choice that I kind of mentioned earlier, Killed by Death, as the end of the main set.
Okay. So we finished off the main set with Killed by Death, and we're coming out for the encore. Now, obviously, we've done this before with different bands and different styles of music, and there's always something about the certain bands that we've chosen for this that have certain kinds of songs that get people into a certain kind of mood to come out of the darkness that is the initial encore. The three songs we have left for here are We Are the Road Crew, No Voices in the Sky, and Ace of Spades. So we kind of know where Ace is going. The question is, what do we want to do with No Voices in the Sky and We Are the Road Crew? I think, when it comes to that element of, you can't really say surprise, I think We Are the Road Crew to open the encore is pretty cool because it's literally just one note and he starts singing.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's a good way. It's unique in a way. But yeah, I'm good with it being there, the opener. All right, so logically, you're not going to end the concert with No Voices in the Sky. So I think we got to put No Voices in the Sky at number 14 and Ace of Spades at number 15.
I like that. I really like the hook that's on No Voices in the Sky. And it's something that's like, for all of the songs that he has sung, I think that one has the most melodic chorus. It's really weird to say it that way because he has a lot of melody in a lot of songs. Mm-hmm. But there's something about, like, it was almost like a perfect group of notes that he put together to create that melody that really comes across very well for me. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, it's a really underrated song, I would say. There's some stuff that comes along later in their career that kind of follows up those ideas. and there's I can't wait to talk about them on the next episode that we do. There are some really cool. You say an old dog can't learn new tricks, but I totally disagree. Lemmy was one of those guys that, they did a lot of the same stuff throughout their entire career, but he also learned from the guys that he was playing with. So he had Mickey D and Phil Campbell, and both of those guys are extremely talented musicians, and bringing them in and working with them, they grew as a band in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, they just, probably too little too late in the scheme of things, where that genre of music just wasn't as popular. Luckily, they did get a little bit of, limelight later on with their work with WWE and stuff like that with Triple H's music. But I'm excited to talk about a second list for them.
Cool. Very good. All right, so our 15 songs as in a concert set list order. We're going to open the show with Overkill, and we're going to follow it with Love Me Like a Reptile. And song number 3 is going to be Dead Men Tell No Tales, followed by Shine, followed by Orgasmatron. Song number 6 of the concert is going to be Bomber, then Eat the Rich, then Stone Dead Forever. Song number 9 of the show is going to be Damage Case. Song number 10, Deaf Forever. Followed by Iron Fist. And the main set will be closed out by Killed by Death. How else? And then the encore is going to be started off with We Are the Road Crew. Followed by No Voices in the Sky. And the show is closed out with the ever popular Ace of Spades. I think that's a pretty cool concert. I wish I could have seen it. Yeah,
it's always tough when talking about some of these guys that are no longer with us. Sometimes I forget that Lemmy's gone. Sometimes I forget that Dio's gone. It just and it's been some time, but they live on with you through their music. So
absolutely, yeah. That's one of those that's kind of like. You see, they're talked about so much as if they're still here that it's just kind of weird, in a way. See if it's all right. So when I saw Motorhead, it was the Mayhem Festival in 2012. So when I saw Motorhead, so they did Bomber, Damage Case, I Know How to Die, Stay Clean, Over the Top, The Chase is Better Than the Catch, The One to Sing the Blues, and it had a drum solo by Mickey D. Going to Brazil, Killed by Death, Ace of Spades, and Overkill close the show. I mean, for me, as a fan that I am, that was pretty good. They had a lot of songs that I liked, and I
like all the songs. Yeah, I like Stay Clean a lot, but to me, Stay Clean, it's just so close to ZZ Top's Tush that I always have a hard time picking it for like a favorite song or something like that.
Oh, there's a couple of songs that are in there that are ZZ Top like.
Mm-hmm. And they were huge fans of them, and I understand, and they had a good relationship with that band. They did a cover of one of their songs, so yeah, I don't see a problem with it, but I definitely see the similarity.
Absolutely. All right, so that brings us to our Big Four for tonight, and tonight's Big Four is the Big Four songs covered by Motorhead. So it's a different take on covers. These are songs that basically Motorhead did of other bands. So since you went first for the set list, the concert set list, I'm going to go ahead and go first on this one. Or do you want to go first?
No, that works. Go ahead.
All right, so my Big Four songs covered by Motorhead. Number 4, Breaking the Law, a Judas Priest cover. And this is actually Motorhead, because some of these songs, sometimes they end up being, just Lemmy singing it. Like that's why I didn't pick the Trooper from when I covered that, because that was actually with the Iron Maidens playing and Lemmy and Phil Campbell playing along. So anyway, number 4, Judas Priest, Breaking the Law. Number 3, Shoot 'Em Down from Twisted Sister. Really like that version that was on the Twisted Sister tribute album. Then number 2, Enter Sandman, the Metallica cover. Motorhead covered Metallica twice. They did Whiplash and Enter Sandman. And Enter Sandman is pretty cool. That was on the ECW soundtrack back in the day.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember we trading it with students in school because it was hard to find. So we would loan it out and burn it and all that stuff. It was good times.
And the funny thing is, it's not on Spotify. I actually have the CD, but I can't access any of my CDs right now until I build my office, and hopefully in January it'll get done. But I found it on YouTube, and I'm like, it reminded me, yep, this is a pretty good version that they did. I actually like what they did with Whiplash, where they changed the lyrics at the end. Mm-hmm. Where Metallica calls out their own name, Motorhead actually changed it to call out their own name. So that was pretty cool. All right, and my number 1 cover by Motorhead is Jumpin' Jack Flash, their cover of the Rolling Stones song. I'm just a really huge fan of that song. They did that song. It's really well. It actually sounds very good. The production on it was pretty decent. So that goes as my number 1 Big 4 song covered by Motorhead.
All right, that's a good list. And it is different than mine for sure. We do have one crossover though. All right, so my number 4, and this is probably the only time you'll ever hear this band on any of my lists, is Sympathy for the Devil by Rolling Stones. I've never been a huge Rolling Stones fan. No slight to them. Obviously, they have their own set of fans, rabid fans, still popular today, but I'm not a Rolling Stones guy. But their version of Sympathy for the Devil, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And I do, like, if I'm going to pick a Rolling Stones fan or song that I do like, it is Sympathy for the Devil. So
Guns N' Roses version is awesome.
It is. All right, so my number 3 is Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers by ZZ Top. What I love about this one is they're just having so much fun with it. It's not a perfect cover. But if you told me that the ZZ Top, that the Motorhead version was the original, I might believe you. But obviously the ZZ Top version did come first. But I really like their cover of it. My number 2 is Breaking the Law by Judas Priest, which is the one we have in common. Really like that version. I like the guitar work done on it. Breaking the Law is not one of my favorite Judas Priest songs. I like it a lot, but I like, obviously we've talked about this on many episodes, but I like their more, metal stuff like Painkiller and that kind of stuff more. But Breaking the Law, it has a lot of meaning, great song, and Motorhead's cover is awesome. And then my number 1 is Whiplash. You mentioned it earlier. I really like their version of Whiplash. I like what you said about them kind of changing it at the end. I totally agree with. I thought, it would be weird if they said Metallica. So I actually really like that version. Maybe a little more than Enter Sandman. But I think it's great.
Oh, I like your list. You can't go wrong. They did really good covers, but they definitely Motorheaded them. They did a Motorhead style.
I think it's some interesting covers too, like "Stand by Your Man." How, like, would you really think that they would do a cover of "Stand by Your Man"?
That's one of the reasons why Fast Eddie Clarke quit.
Yeah,
but yeah, at the time, that's the one thing that I was trying to say about Lemmy. He was just such a different cat in that he did it with Wendy O. Williams, or it was the chick from the Plasmatics, and she was very punky. But that was kind of a New York punk, and then there's him who does punk, but in a kind of more British style. So the fact that the two of them collaborated like that and did that song is just, yes, definitely different.
Yeah.
Well, that's our big 4 songs covered by Motorhead, and that brings this episode to a close. If you liked what you heard and want to hear more from us, find us wherever you get your podcasts, click the subscribe button, and sit back and enjoy.
That's right. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, be sure to leave us a message on Facebook at Debating Metal Podcast and on Instagram and Twitter at Debating Metal. Also, be sure to catch us on YouTube and leave us a comment. If you disagree with our list and want to give us your list, send us an email to debatingmetal@gmail.com. If you use Spotify, be sure to check out our playlists from all our greatest hits episodes like the one tonight. And remember to tune into the next episode where we spark up another exciting metal debate. On behalf of Kenneth and myself, stay safe and always turn it up to 11.
See ya.